Well, welcome again, Faith Family. We're back to give you a book review today. And by the way, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yep. Pastor John's been doing a great job in his sermon series, leading us in our vision for discipleship for our whole congregation, but particularly for our families and our children, the future of our church. And he's referenced it, and I have too in the Sunday school class, a book entitled Habits of the Household. And John, just tell me a little bit how you got this book and what you love about it.
Yeah, so I came across this book on a podcast that I frequently listen to. A guy and his wife who just recently came to faith, and I don't know how they came across it, but it had really changed their household in the midst of their coming to Christ. And I thought, well, man, I'm trying to be a parent. I'm trying to figure this thing out. And as you guys might guess, with 3 kids, 3 and under, my household can be crazy. So I thought, yeah, we could use some new habits in our household. So I ordered the book, and this doesn't happen to me a lot, but when I picked that thing up, it was hard for me to put down. I think I read it in 2 days.
Wow.
And I mean, it's not huge. You guys can see I think it's just under 200 pages if you take out, the index and that kind of stuff. But it really gave me practical, tangible things right away that we could put into practice in our household. They were not complicated, they were not elaborate, they were simple, and I could see right away, okay, we could do that, we could try that out. So it had an impact on us right away.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about this and all experienced it, if we've tried to do anything intentional with our family, it's just a mess. And so maybe start us off with like the first thing that you tried and why it was accessible, and maybe as well, like what's the motivation? What does he keep coming back to that keeps you going?
Yeah. So in the first chapter, he divides the habits up into, there's 10 of them, and he talks about different portions of a family's day.
One
And
day.
of one day.
Okay.
And they're low level. It's stuff like waking up, meal times, bedtime, these kind of things. And so to me, the simplest place to start was where your day starts, which is with the waking up habits.
Okay.
He gives a couple. The one that I tried right away that I'm still doing that has had a huge impact for me is he says, hey, what do most of us do as soon as we roll out of bed? We grab our phones, right? It's our alarm clock, and then there's notifications on there,
Yeah.
and you get deep into social media or email or whatever it is. He said, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't pick up your phone. First thing that you should do when you wake up in the morning is get on your knees, and he actually means kneel,
Okay.
and pray. And he gives like 4 or 5, I mean, literally 1 or 2 sentence prayers. But what caught my attention with this, the reason that it grabbed me, is he does a little neuroscience in there, which is cool if you're into that kind of thing. But he says that all of us are born looking for someone who's looking for us. So if you think about parents, when your child was born, that child comes out of the womb looking for the one person in the room who is most intently looking at them, their mother.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's hardwired into us. And so in the morning, what we do is that's a sort of rebirth, right? You have been asleep and you come alive, and our brains, our souls are looking for someone who's looking for us. And if we're not careful, the someone who's looking for us, this is creepy, is the facial recognition software on your phone.
Yeah.
It's literally looking for you to look at it,
Yes,
right? And if you go there first, it's going to tell you things. It's going to tell you maybe what the news of the day is around the world, and you're going to become anxious and afraid. Or it's going to tell you, man, there's 16 things at work today that I've got to take care of, and I'm not valuable until I've taken care of those things. Or if you just get on your knees and you go to the Lord in prayer, what you realize is you were made for the God of the universe who is looking for you in love.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's all deep and theological and great, but what I have found is that this has just radically changed the way I approach my family in the morning and the way I feel. Sure. It's just a different thing.
So what would it, give us an example, what might it have looked like if you look at your phone and it fills you with, these things that you got to do, or the anxieties, or frustration because maybe there's a conflict that came through. What would that do when you turn to your family next, or whenever they got up?
100%. So, I mean, you guys might guess, as a pastor, there are emails, there are texts, there are phone calls that come through, especially at night. It seems like everything's worse at night. And it doesn't have to be conflict, right? But
Sure.
it might be, I wake up and I've got an email from one of our elders that one of our church members is in the hospital, right?
Yes.
And that breaks my heart, and I feel for them. Or it might be that there's a couple in our church that's in conflict, or that something at the church itself has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Any of these things, right?
Sure.
And the first thing it does is that it takes me out of the place where I actually am, right? I'm in my home with my wife and children. But as soon as all of that, especially if it's the first thing that comes into my consciousness, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
I'm already here at the church, which means that what my children and my wife experience is dad's here, but he's not here. My husband's here, but he's not here.
You're distracted.
I'm distracted.
Yeah, your
right?
attention is given to something good, but it's not the here and now.
It's not the here and now. That's right.
Because you're human, right? You're finite. You can't be two places
No.
at one time. But
No.
would you say that that's sort of what technology is telling us?
It's trying to the lie is that we can, right? And what really happens, and I stole this from somebody. It's not original to me, but when
you borrowed it.
I borrowed
can't steal.
it.
It's in the
okay.
commandments. Come
Fine.
on.
When I try to be two places at once, when I try to be at home and at church, what actually happens is that I'm not in two places, I'm in no places, right? I'm not at home and I'm not here. And I feel that in my body, and my family feels it, but they don't know what it is.
Right.
They just know that dad's here, but he's not here.
And so, in that vein, you're forming them, and you're forming habits in your household that are disruptive and disconnecting you from one another, and it's all stuff that you're not necessarily intending to do, but it's because of our culture, our hearts bent, and so I mean, we got to do something. But does the author Justin Whitmore Earley, does he give us, where's the grace in that? You know, because even small things can be hard in a messy family.
Yes. I think two things. The first thing, if you guys get this book, and I hope you will, at the end of every chapter, he says, our habits don't change God's love for us, but God's love for us should change our habits. So what he's saying there is, it's not that now because in the morning I get on my knees and pray, God loves me more, or he loves me.
You don't get special fairy dust on you.
No fairy
Grace
dust. No, none of that. What it does mean is that since God loves me, it should change my habits in the morning.
Absolutely.
Because it means that I don't have to run to my phone to look for validation for my life, right? The value of my life is not that I'm the pastor who can solve the conflict in the family, or that when I show up at the hospital, everything magically changes. That's not it.
No.
I'm valuable because the Lord loves me. And if I start there instead of looking for it elsewhere, that's grace, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is, he just will say over and over in this book, don't try all this at once. He's going to give, I don't know, 3 or 4 habits per chapter on 10 different areas of life. You can't do all that.
Sure.
I can't do all that.
Sure.
But what he is trying to get across to families is, hey, just pick a place to start, and let that shift into grace kind of begin to season your family's life.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I think as I think about the grace that we need each day, it's kind of like whatever you get, right, you're going to give out. And so by starting with grace and then sharing that with your family, you're giving them something that's going to help them navigate their day better, or at least oriented in the right direction. Whereas instead of the other is what? Anxiety. You give your family anxiety.
Yep, you do.
Give them fear, maybe insecurity. So, man, grace is awesome.
Nate, tell us. So I'll run through these real quick. As you think about our families in our church, he's got these 10 different areas that we can change our habits in, right? waking, meal times, discipline, screen time, and some others. Where would you say most
Mm,
families, your own included, my own
yes.
included, where are we really struggling? Where do we need to? That's the place where we're going to really see a lot of change and grace in our families if we can put in
Yeah.
place some better habits.
Yeah, I mean, I love the pattern of the day, and of course, he and we are thinking through Deuteronomy 6:4. You know, when you rise, when you sit down, when you go to work,
Mhm.
when you come home, whatever. You know, the whole day is just to be saturated with God's presence,
Yes.
and extending that to our children and to our wife and all those sorts of things. But I think, going back to something we talked about at an earlier time, the technology that is all pervasive and is trying to meet all of our needs. I mean, in many ways, it's a spiritual force
Mm.
that is trying to shape us after its image of consumption and
Hmm.
entertainment and checking out of the world,
Hmm.
disconnecting from our bodies and from our relationships.
Mm.
And just to, in my own family, that is where we go when we are done with our work, or when
Yes.
we are done with a meal, or when we're done with some activity. Maybe we come home from church, and it's fascinating and really scary that
Mm.
everybody pulls out their phone.
Is it like a default
It's a
almost?
default.
Yeah,
It's a habit.
it is.
It's
It's
a
a habit.
habit, and
That's
it's
it.
a habit that has been largely just accepted into our
Mm.
daily life without question, without thought.
Yes.
And as C.S. Lewis says, the most dangerous things are not the things being talked about, but the things that are just assumed.
Yep.
And we have assumed, I have assumed, and my family has assumed that this thing is neutral, or,
Hmm.
we need to be careful, but we don't think about just the very act of engaging with it is
Yes.
shaping us.
Yes.
And I hate to say it, but I think it's shaping us in a bad way. It's
Hmm.
deforming us.
Hmm.
It's unmaking our humanity.
Hmm.
Um, so that, yeah, we end up anxious, fearful, disconnected,
Addicted.
addicted. Don't, well, that's scary, right? Addicted to all sorts of, it's not
Yes.
just like pornography is obvious, a big one, but I mean, we can be addicted to entertainment.
Yep.
We can be addicted to social media, and the scary thing, those who make these devices know that
Hmm.
they know our humanity.
Hmm.
They want to keep us clicking. And so if they can make us feel inadequate, but then
Yes.
provide a little hit, but not too much,
That's
right? But
right.
just enough so that you
Yep.
scroll a little more, and they'll take your information to the advertisers
Hmm.
and make money
That's
and
right.
just keep you going. And that's addiction. And it
Yes.
doesn't matter whether they don't care if you go down the rabbit hole of crazy politics, or the rabbit hole of pornography, or the rabbit hole of purchasing the latest
Hmm.
thing. I mean, they don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Just keep them on it.
Hmm.
And we're not made for that.
No.
I mean, just think of all those precious moments that we could be spending as a family talking. Or get this, think about this. When was the last time you and your family just sat quietly together?
Yeah. I can't.
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's kind of hard
I
when you
got
got
3-year-olds.
3-year-olds.
They're
Yeah,
not
I
quiet, but
understand that.
but even so, even so.
But that is such an amazing thing. In fact, in Sunday school, I don't know if your children have told you this. If you're coming to Sunday school, we do 2 minutes of silence at the
Mm.
start of each
Mm.
class, just to say, I tell them, like, be still and know that God is God.
Yes.
And in that silence, I encourage them. What thoughts did you have? What did you think about
Hmm.
them? Um, it's little things like that that would, like you said, turn our faces to the one who has been seeking us before the
Yes.
foundation of the
Yes.
earth, right? Who had us in his thoughts at that point. To be silent and remind ourselves of that, and then to turn around and give life to each other,
Yes.
as opposed to just let it be sucked away doing this.
I think Early talks about in this book, he gives us this idea of what he calls keystone habits,
Mm,
which is if you can conceive in your mind of a series of dominoes, the keystone habit is the first one, which is to
mm,
say, if you knock that one over, if you begin to do this thing, then there's a lot of other downstream stuff.
mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
like, I think in general, life fitness is one of these. If you can get your body in better shape,
Yes,
there's a lot of other things that tend to go well.
absolutely.
I think the screen time section of this book is a
Keystone.
keystone habit.
Got it.
Because, I mean, families, you felt this as Nate was talking. What would we do?
Yeah.
Right. And that's a real question. I've asked
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we turn off the movie, well, now we got to do something,
Yeah.
right? Or if I put the phone down, now I got to do something.
Mhm.
But I think what you will find is that in that space that's created, right,
Yes.
there are opportunities to do so many of these other things. I look when I looked down at the book just now, I saw he's got an icon on here that's got the little Z's that represent sleep,
Mm.
and if you just stopped scrolling 15, 30 minutes sooner at night, right? Well, there's 30 minutes of sleep.
Yes.
And goodness gracious, could all of us not use 30
Yeah.
minutes more sleep?
Well, and studies are showing that like the screen, actually looking at it an hour before bed, even an hour before you go to sleep,
Yes.
does things to your brain that cause you not to rest well.
Yes.
And yet we're just giving these things out like candy, and,
Yeah,
and
that's
not
right.
not putting any limits on them. Or if we do, it's just wild.
It's
And
wild.
we need to really, by God's grace, consider. And Jesus said it: if your hand causes you to stumble, if your eye causes,
Hmm.
we got to be willing in some ways to look at technology as something that's trying to drag us to hell.
Hmm. And
I
do
hate, I
some.
mean, I hate that we got to think about it that way, but I could tell you lots of stories from
100%.
student ministry, from the school where I teach, of how these phones are sucking souls
Hmm.
away from God, away
Hmm.
from their family. And so, some sense, maybe in a very big sense, we need to take some drastic action
Yes.
by God's grace in community, helping one another,
Hmm.
knowing we will do it imperfectly, but doing it
Yes.
nonetheless.
Yes. So I think, guys, what we hope you'll do, a few things, is we hope you'll get this book. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of the things I loved, he has a section, it's like 5 pages in, where he says how to read this book.
Yeah, that's good.
And he talks about the fact that he wrote it while his kids were climbing all over him, while his house was chaotic, right?
Yes.
And so he says, "Hey, don't. I hope you don't read this like in a coffee shop in the quiet, because your
Mm,
life's not like that. If
right.
you're a father, if you're a
Sure.
mother."
Sure.
And so his pitch is, "Hey, get the book, but read it in tiny chunks."
Yeah.
And I had
Absolutely.
thoughts throughout this. I mean, I read it in 2 days,
Mm,
but there were several times where I was like, if I stopped right now and just did one or two of these things, it would
mm,
change our lives as a
change
family.
everything. Yeah.
And so that's kind of our hope, is that you'll pick this book up. As Nate said, we will be talking about it a lot, whether from the pulpit or in Sunday school or in the things we write, and just begin to examine and evaluate your life as a family,
Absolutely.
and what the Lord might be calling your family both to, but also away from, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
That's
think,
great.
and maybe we'll end on this note. It is, as C.S. Lewis said, it's the things we don't think much about that are
Hmm.
forming us,
Hmm.
which means that most of our families, and I'll put my hand up here, are being formed in an American cultural
Yes.
image.
Yeah.
Now, look, I love this country.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to live here. There's great
Mm,
things about this country. But I want my family formed in the image of Jesus,
yeah.
not in the image of
America.
America,
That's right.
right?
That's
Which
right.
means that as fathers, as mothers, we've got to do a little bit of grace enabled
Mm,
work
yes.
to look at what's forming our families.
Absolutely.
And maybe, just as a thought to put in your minds, parents, I would say you're forming your families.
Absolutely.
Right? It starts with you,
It
it
does.
starts with me. And we've got to be willing to look at our own habits and lives and say, how are we forming our children, right? So we hope y'all will pick up this book and join us in thinking through these things. And we want to be here to help you.
Absolutely.
We're trying to figure this out.
Absolutely.
And so we want to walk that with you. And we believe the Lord will bless that effort with a lot of grace. And I can tell you from my family, and I think Nate probably too, it'll change your family in
Yes.
a really good way. So
Absolutely.
we hope you guys find this helpful, and we'll have more resources to recommend to you in the near future.